Are you ready?
Starting now?
Now you just messed it up, you knob. God, you know that the shit that we go through for this, huh?
I know. Fuckers better appreciate it. When we started, we were just like, yeah, we're just going to do this, man. You know, shoot our wad into the wind and see what happens. What's the title of this podcast again?
I don't know. I don't know. Something with a penis, I guess.
Right.
Our fucking faces are everywhere now.
Right.
But
you're welcome, ladies.
Right. Popular with the ladies. Right. Oh, I'm not even going to apologize because hopefully it sounds fucking hilarious.
Yeah, totally. This is fucking explicit now.
The explicit button. Let me use my finger.
La, 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 la.
It is time for another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And that episode starts now. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. And this is an anniversary episode, is it not, right?
I suppose so. That's what everybody keeps telling me.
So, happy anniversary to you.
Today
is officially your anniversary. Mine was on Tuesday.
It was. And congratulations to you as well.
Well, thank you. I'll pat your back, you pat mine. Hey, look at
exactly. Then later we'll pat each other's asses.
Well, what we do in our own time, and I'm in Cleveland, so hey, you could physically pat my ass today if you'd like. Right. I'm fine with it. So
my house, my rules.
That reminds me of the Keating Center. Did we talk about we talked about the shower father thing, didn't we? Is this
I believe we did.
Well, you know what? We probably have some new listeners. Let's just recap on that real quick. So
let's revisit
take a little stroll down memory lane to a little over 13. 13 plus years
not quite.
ago, but yeah, actually not quite 13 years. That's
not
right.
Quite.
So
because I walked in there on the 28th.
Yeah, and I got there on the 23rd, I think.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. So anyhow, so there was in the Keating Center, and Mike and I talked about the fact that we were house fathers again, as Mike put it, and I think you've always put it best. You didn't really give a shit about helping people out or taking people, but you took the action and all this sort of thing. So, but there were house fathers. We became house fathers over time. But there was this guy. Is it Jeff? That's what I was like. It was Jeff. So he was probably in his mid-20s, I think, at the time.
At that point, yeah, I think he was. Yeah.
Yeah, and a good guy, but I mean, back and forth. And we've actually seen him. I saw him at when I came back for group one time, probably 6-7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
That he was back in the Keating Center.
He was.
So he started this thing. Usually when people came in, they were introduced to the house fathers in case they needed help and all that stuff. So Jeff started introducing himself to all of these individuals as the shower father.
Yes, he was.
So when that happened, obviously again it was like he's like, hey, here, come with me. I'll take you into the shower area, and I mean these guys are just like, what the fuck, man. So yeah, it's that was the shower father. Now you're apparently the ass tapping guy. That your house, your rules.
Yes, I am the ass tapping guy.
The ass tap father. Ass tap father.
That's right.
You know what, man? Whatever works, whatever keeps us sober. If I was going to say don't judge, I don't give a fuck. If somebody wants to judge, they can judge
away.
Yeah, really. We've been doing. Maybe you know what? Maybe that's the key. It's pizza. Well, first of making our beds, spite, and pizza.
That's right.
Patting each other's asses. So
yes.
All right. Well, you know what? So it is. Yes. Happy anniversary to us. It's again wonderful, wonderful thing. And so what do the guys at Who Do You Know always tell us when we announce anniversaries? I'll let you tell that part.
Well, since we made 13 years this week, they would tell us, they would look us square in the eye and tell us you'll never make 14.
And
Because
yeah, go ahead.
because how do you get an alcoholic to do something? You tell him he can't do it. Thus, the spite component of our recovery.
And
Fuck
what?
you. I will show you just out of spite that I will make it 14 years. And it's
Right.
worked so far. It's worked for 13. And I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing.
Well, and there was it was all the old timers that used to do that. And actually the sponsor that we shared, Joe, used to
Right.
say that.
Mhm.
And didn't he stopped doing that at one point because people were, I'll say air
People
quotes,
were complaining.
yeah, were complaining about it. And I remember coming back from Wisconsin, and we hit that meeting, and I stood up and I announced it at the meeting. I looked over at him, and he's just like sitting there. I'm like, no, no, no.
Mhm.
I'm like,
No,
I
no, no.
demand, I demand that you
I just
stand up
drove
and
8
tell me.
hours.
Yeah, I demand you tell me that I can't do this again.
Exactly.
So he did, and it's yeah, just it's a I'll call it a long-standing joke, but yeah, you're right. It's just something it became more of an endearing, type of thing
Mhm.
for us, and
Absolutely.
something that we wanted to hear. So,
And on
but yeah.
Tuesday, I was sure to send you a message saying you'll never make 14. And Bill was kind enough last night, about 2 minutes after midnight, to send me the same message that I'll never make 14.
Yeah. Well, it was funny too because we went. Well, I got here. What the hell time did I get here? 3:30, something like that.
Somewhere
in that
around
range.
there.
And we had dinner planned. We were going to me, Mike, Chris, and Chris's daughter Jess. Her boyfriend works at a restaurant in where the fuck was that again?
I don't know, middle of fucking nowhere, out past
Yeah.
Solon someplace.
Yeah. So
Chagrin
in
Falls,
like
I think.
yeah, it was like brain something, Bane something, Bane
Bainbridge.
Bainbridge. There you go. I was gonna say Brainbridge.
We certainly don't have that.
Right. But
that
I mean,
bridge was burnt a long time ago.
right. But a nice restaurant called
Yeah.
Crumb and Spigot, and I had posted that on Instagram, and I was kind of impressed. I mean, with them from their social media standpoint, they responded
Mhm.
almost immediately,
Right.
and in their story and said, "Hey, glad you liked your visit. Come back soon," which is kind of cool. But nice food. So we had pizza. We had wood fire pizza. So
We did.
hung
Fancy
out.
pizza.
Man, it was actually really good, But so yeah, Chris and her daughter split one, and then Mike and I split a pizza, and we're just kind of sitting back last night, just watching. Right before we went to
Watching
bed,
people drink.
yeah, but yeah, while we were at the restaurant, but when we got back here, we were what Jeopardy, and then we were like finished up watching fucking Stripes, which is great.
Mhm.
Um, but then yeah, I'm like, yeah, man, I gotta get to bed. So I was like getting ready for bed, and I'm like, yeah, I probably should have stayed up for like another 9 minutes because it was.
It was
It's like
yeah.
it was like 11:51, but yeah, by the time I brushed my teeth and took my contacts out, and it was like 2 minutes after midnight. So yeah, just
Mhm.
Mike had already walked into his bedroom. So yeah, I sent him a quick text and wished him a happy anniversary. So, but yeah, I was just thinking about it too. It's been a while since it's probably been a handful of years. It was a Facebook memory that just came up where I was actually driving out here on the 22nd. That was probably 6-7 years ago.
Mhm.
But it's been a while since I've actually been here on your anniversary. So it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it is.
Yep, and then tonight we'll hit a meeting, and tomorrow we're gonna grab lunch with our normie cousin, and yeah,
Mhm.
it's just nice. It's been so far just basically a lot of doing nothing, which is exactly what we want to do.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get the reading. I always want to say out of the way.
Out of the way.
I don't mean to do that. It's not that. It says let's jump into a positive reading read to you by our friend Mike.
Let's do it. All right. Well, this was one. This is definitely a dog-eared one. This is definitely one I used a lot in groups. To the point where I had to walk over to Bill and say, "Have we done this one before?" Because it's burned in my head. I've done it so many times, and he was like, "I don't think so." I don't know, but we're going to do it anyway because this is one I really like. And this is from this week. This is April 17th. And it is this: assume a virtue if you have it not. Some guy named Billy Shakespeare. Our recovery program tells us to act as if. If we wish to have more faith, we will act as if we had it and see what happens. If we wish we were more honest, we will tell the truth and see what happens. If we wish we were brave, we will take the actions a brave person would take and see what happens. Face it, few of us are as good, kind, brave, generous, honest, and loyal as we would like to be. But the way we become who we are, the way we become who we want to be is simple. First, think about how we will act in different situations. Then do it. In the beginning, it feels a little phony, but that's okay. Our program also says it's a good thing to fake it till you make it. Hey, we could do that. We can't remake ourselves and fix everything all at once, but we can fake it a little. We can act like a kind person. We can do what a brave person would do. We can say what an honest person would say. Let's just call it practicing the program. Prayer for the day. Higher power, help me recognize times to practice acting as if today. Help me act as if I were already the kind of person I hope to be someday. Today's actions, oh, those pesky actions. I will be aware today of the chances to act the way I would like to act instead of the way I am used to acting. I will write a sentence or two about what I learned.
Nice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
Mike came to me, and first of all, I looked at the date, and I remember that you had done, we did the same March 17th, the January one, and September one. The only reason like I told Mike, the only reason I don't think we did this one is because the fact that it's April 17th, that's the day I went into detox, and I think I would have remembered us doing that
Right.
reading, but who fucking knows?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
I know. And there's a prime example of how we work a little differently. He's focusing on the date, I'm focusing on the content.
right. But and I believe because the whole act as if thing. Well, first of all, I think I posted that because once again, and everyone who's
Mhm.
listening to this, if you follow us on Instagram, you know that I post a reading every morning, and it's usually 99.5% of the time something I read that day. But if I
Mhm.
can't find one, kind of same thing as Mike, I scroll back through my phone and I'll grab something. But I know nearly positive I posted that one on Monday because it's
Right.
not only do I believe in it wholeheartedly that everything
Mhm.
that was said in there, but you and I talk about acting as if all the time.
Right.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
come up in a ton of different conversations,
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. I mean, it's it's one of the cornerstones of my recovery.
right,
And it is to this day. 13 years clean and sober today. I still fake it sometimes, kids. I still act as if. The example I used to use in group all the time. Some guy comes walking up to me and he's telling me his problems, blah 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 blah. I don't fucking care. I care a little more today than I did 13 years ago, absolutely. But at the core of it, I still really do not give a shit. But I act as if I take the action. I act as if I give a shit about what this person is saying. And I listen to him and I nod my head and I go, you know what, man, if I have some sort of story that relates to it, I will share that with him. If I don't, I'll just look at him and I'll say, you know what, it's going to work out, man. Have a little faith. And, and unfortunately, I'm not lying to him.
right.
It will work out. Maybe not the way you thought it would, but hey, who gives a fuck?
Right. Well,
Yep.
and that's the thing that it's a great way to put it. Everything will work out. It may
Hmm.
not it may not work. It's like the old saying that people said like this too shall pass. It may pass like a
Hmm.
kidney stone, but
Right.
it's gonna fucking pass.
You may have a crumb in your spigot, but we'll get through.
Yeah, and that started off too. Mike and I were talking about. He ended up. He told me earlier in the week we were going to do this, and it's like, hey, timing we were trying to figure out, and then he ended up. Was that Thursday night? Yeah, you ended up. We
Right.
talked on the phone, and he said that, and of course, I had to go to the whole "come in the spigot," and he's
Hmm.
like, "I said crumb," and I'm like, "I did too," and he's like, "No, you didn't." So yeah, we started talking about crumbs in our spigots, and but it was a nice restaurant. If you're ever in that, again, southeast part of Cleveland, that would be correct.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, out that way.
yeah, but look it up. Crumb and Spigots, very very good. Small place. I mean,
Hmm.
kind of a just skinny and long. As far as the area. As soon as I said that, I'm like, yeah, well, okay. Some people
Right,
might like it skinny and long. I don't know. I don't
right.
know.
Yeah, most people prefer girth, but what are you gonna do?
Right? Yeah, short and thick. Right?
I didn't say short.
I
I just
know.
say girth.
I know. I know what you said. I know what you said. But so the other thing with the reading, and I'm sure that you've heard this too. So we heard the fake it till you make it thing, and I
Hmm.
agree with it completely, and I still
Yeah.
do that. Have you seen people talk about face it till you make it? They changed
Yeah.
a fake to a face.
Uh-huh. I'm sure they have.
Right.
You know. Right. 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 And yes, of course. We can't run away from our problems and all that good stuff. But again, we've spent decades of our life living a certain way. Of course we're going to fake it in the beginning,
Hmm.
being honest, giving a shit about somebody else other than ourselves. Yes, of course we have to fake it. We're not again, the walking 10 miles into the woods, turning around and taking 2 steps. You're still going to be in the woods. I'm
Right.
still going to be the same selfish, self-centered piece of shit person I was. I'm just moving in a different direction, and part of moving in that different direction is faking it,
Hmm.
pretending you're a nice person, pretending you care about somebody else. Yeah, it's a huge part of recovery, and anybody that says it isn't is doing it wrong.
Right.
Ha!
Well, in and the reason I asked you about that, and it was always been my same opinion that okay, so it's splitting, it's unnecessarily splitting hairs to change the word
Mm-hmm.
fake to face. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because then it goes into, well, we're faking it till we make it. We're still facing it. We're not running away. Then I
Mm-hmm.
feel this I almost said obligation, but I feel this need
Mm-hmm.
to try to explain that no, that's what this means anyhow. Just the word is
Right.
different.
Right.
Um, then I'm like, ah, fuck it. You know what? Whatever. Do whatever you gotta do until you make it.
Yes.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
if
Right.
you're if it's all sunshine and fucking roses for you, and you're cool, or if you got to fake it a little bit and pretend that you're a nice guy like we did, maybe we still,
Mm-hmm.
no, not even maybe, that we still do
We still do.
at some points. I was just telling Mike a little interaction I had with somebody not too long ago, right
Mm-hmm.
before we got on here, and the way the question was posed to me, and the answer that was in my head, but
Mm-hmm.
then again, what came out of my mouth was not that.
Exactly.
and and that's a combination of 13 years. That's a
Mm-hmm.
combination of the 10 step, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
combination of or preempting, so I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to do a 10 step. But again,
Right.
when we're wrong, I don't have to admit it. But then
Right.
this.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
I faked being a nice guy when
Yep.
I answered the question from this individual,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't cause any grief in anyone's life, and then
Exactly.
I got to tell Mike a story, and we laughed.
Right.
So that was
Yeah,
the bonus part of it.
it is. Yeah. Again, said it many times. Our thoughts are still fucked up, but thankfully our actions aren't, which is a huge part of faking it. It's what it is. Yes, our
Right.
thoughts are still wrong, but we don't act on them anymore. We're not, again, cornerstone of this recovery program. A lot of it is, changing our behaviors so that our thoughts change. What Joe used to say all the time. AA is the exact opposite of psychology and psychiatry. Those people want to change the way we think so we act differently. That does not work for a drunk like me. What I need to do is change the way they act so eventually I start thinking differently. Faking it.
Right.
Yep.
Well, and I'm probably I would say a fairly decent example of this whole thing, and I
Mm-hmm.
was unknowingly faking it for 9 fucking months.
Right.
And now that I think back on it, and I've said this openly, that I didn't realize that I wasn't committed to this. It wasn't an open it wasn't at that point, it wasn't an open act of defiance or anything like that. I didn't
Hmm.
realize that I had these two things. I knew they were there sort of, but I wasn't faking it. I was faking it. I wasn't facing those things. So give somebody a little bit of credit there.
Hmm.
But I didn't realize that all I was doing, I was just going through the motions, you know.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
thankfully, thankfully, I had good people around,
Hmm.
to follow and all that sort of thing. But that's what
Well,
that
and
is,
you were going through different good motions.
right?
You just, yeah, right. That's again how you do it. You start acting differently. You start working those muscles that you've never worked before. Whatever your intention is, whatever the reason is, the fact of the matter is you are actually doing it, and you do get the results. Whether your intention is pure or not, you're still going to get the results.
Right. In spite of myself.
Exactly.
That's kind of what happened. It's all this the universe again.
Mm.
But no, yeah, literally in spite of myself, like you said, yeah, I was doing things that I was taught, and starting to rebuild relationships and
Hmm.
all those sort of things. But yeah, so anyhow, I mean that the reading itself, I enjoyed it. I like it every year. I know that, and I know I
Right.
posted it on Monday. So 100%, absolutely, that's a great one. So cool. Anything more on the reading?
Nope.
Okay. So we have. Do you feel like a piece of, let's call it listener mail? Do you want a piece
Ah,
of?
absolutely.
It's a good one too. So this is we don't have to fake anything on this one. So it was a message that was sent, and you know what? She didn't necessarily give me permission to use her name, so I'm not going
Oh,
to. But
right.
because she doesn't have her, it's not like, well, let's call her Mary, because she has an uncommon name.
Okay.
So I don't remember, but I don't think I've had any interactions with her like in messaging or anything like that. But
Hmm.
um, one of our followers, and so she sends me this. She's like, "Hi, Bill. Love your podcast and your recovery story. I'm over 2 years sober and enjoy your episodes almost as much as I once enjoyed my booze.
Mm.
I'm
High
also,
praise indeed.
I know exactly. I thought I'm like, that's kind of fucking cool. Um,
Hmm.
I'm also a gym rat, and I'm following another a great pod, built for Fitbod. It's this is the funny part, is our, and she has it in quotes. She says, is
Hmm.
our Mike also hosting that podcast?
Yeah.
The resemblance is uncanny, but never mentioned it here. So I was wondering if that's the same person. Stay sober, my brother. I absolutely love you guys, even though you tell me to fuck off every time I listen. And then it's like,
Good.
yeah, it's like that's my alcoholic brain. LOL. So I
Yeah.
sent her a message back, and I said I'm laughing at the last line, because obviously her alcoholic line and all that stuff. But
Hmm.
I said, thank you very much for the message. We absolutely 100% appreciate it. And
Hmm.
this is where I just kind of straighten this up. I can assure you that
Right.
this Mike is not on the other podcast. I think I think both of us are too old and too tired to try to juggle a second podcast.
Absolutely.
um,
And and as I'm sitting here drinking an Arizona energy drink and smoking a Marlboro Red, no, I am not a gym rat.
okay, so and pause on that for a minute, because we're going to get to that part of it. So
All right.
So I said I will definitely have to listen to hear the voice, though, because now I'm super curious and want to let him know that
Hmm.
at least he has a voice doppelganger out there. And thank you again. We appreciate you. So she messages back, and now here goes to your point. And I didn't say it.
Okay.
I'm in my head. I'm like, I'm going to be nice and not say that. Have you seen
Hmm.
him? Have you seen him?
Yeah. See this fat old
Yeah.
ass?
Have you seen him? Have you heard him taking a draw on his 27 cigarettes while we're while we're recording? But no, I didn't say that. But she messages back, and she goes, "Oh boy, it's hard to admit, but in caps, I made a mistake then." Um, this guy's name is also Mike, around the same age. He was talking about his recovery journey in one of the first episodes.
Hmm.
So I jumped to conclusion, of course, and he now works out like a maniac, switching addictions like I did.
Right.
But now here's her line. Now that I think about it, I should know that Mike has zero interest in working out. and it should have been my conclusion right there. And she's just laughing emoji. Oh, well. But I'm so happy I stumbled on you guys. Some of the best things in my life I came across unexpectedly. So much love. And then here's a great one. Tell Mike, please, 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 fuck off.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was fucking wonderful. So I messaged her back and kind of laughed the whole thing, and I was like trying to be nice, blah blah blah. But yeah, I'm like I need to. I copied the obviously the message and Instagram, and then I printed it out with this. But I'm like, it was so funny that you jumped in and said it, because I thought that right away. I'm like, there's no fucking way. Number one, he's too old and tired that I put that one in there. But then I'm like, nah, he's not doing a gym. A gym podcast. But no, I mean literally her line, and she just said it exactly right. Just typed it. That's exactly how she typed it off. Please tell Mike, and then the please. Yeah, it's great.
Right. Yeah. The only way I'm going to a gym if they offer me a pillow and an ashtray.
I know. I don't. Pillow maybe. I don't believe you're gonna end up seeing an ashtray at a gym anytime soon. But you know what? You never know.
Right.
You never know.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I'll just use the floor.
Right. Right. I can see you in there. Just not even making it work, just standing on a treadmill. Not running it, doing anything like that, just like it's smoking a cigarette. So but no, it was God, it was great. I really I fucking hugely enjoyed that message. But
that was very, very nice. Thank you, Mary.
Yeah. And like I said, I didn't when I usually tell people or ask people, and like I said, she has an uncommon first name, so I'm like, I don't know if people want to be outed on stuff like this, so like better off not saying it. So but yeah,
right. And get back to us, and if you want us to use your name, we'll do it next week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you happen to listen, and you'll recognize your story. But yeah, absolutely, we'd be more than happy to give you a shout out. We appreciate it. And anyone. So the thing of it is, and I just want everyone to know again that granted, things are getting busier on all ends. I mean, surprisingly enough, I mean, my job is kind of busy at this time of year. I'm still working on the web store. Instagram we're getting more followers and more activity, so that's busy. I still do. I get in there and I look at all the messages. I read anyone who's messaged us. I do get back to people. So but if it takes a little bit of time, or if I don't get back to you, it's because somehow that message got buried. That's it.
Right.
But other than that, I try to respond to everyone. And so just if you didn't hear something, or if I didn't respond to something, message again. I don't care.
Yeah. Right.
It's
blow us up.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Or email us. The emails won't get lost either. And our email again is info@sobernotmature.com. So all right. But anything else on the reading? We talked about that. We got out of the way. I've got a bunch of things written down. Anything that, I mean, since it is like anniversary weekend, anything on your kind of on your mind about I don't know. I mean, I hate to say this, reminiscing, nostalgia, blah blah blah, but anything that popped into your head that you wanted to talk about from that standpoint, from day one until now?
No.
Okay.
No, just that I am extremely grateful that I am not living the kind of life that I was living 13 years and one day ago.
Right. Yeah, and it just, I mean, that in itself, and you said it, and we've been talking about this, obviously coming up easily over the last month, if not two, about, God, even, some of the podcasts like 6 months ago, it would come up in general conversation. Just kind of, it's mind blowing. I mean, 13 years is in. So you look at it two ways. 13 years it's a long fucking time. Don't get me wrong.
It is.
But then we know so many people that are the 20s and the 25s and the 30s. But then again, we know a ton of people that are that are new, and have known a ton of people that are new.
Right.
Time matters. All time matters. But man, I don't know. Sometimes I can't even put it into words. It's just fucking mind blowing. That's all that it is.
Right. Oh yeah. And again, I posted on Facebook today, of course, my anniversary, and every year I do this. I post, the year, and then I make a second post of the days. And I always say this is the only really way to look at it. 4,748 days.
Right.
Fuck me.
I know.
Goddamn amazing.
Yeah, it really is, because and I think I told you, there's a group that that I follow on. Well, I mean, again, we follow, but you know what I mean. And every Sunday they do a roll call. They're like, okay, roll call. Post your sober days. In the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, however long that I think we've been following them for a long time, at least probably a year. So I do that every
Mm-hmm.
single time, and um, I know I've said it before. I look at my sobriety counter every day because it's important to me. It's hugely important.
Sure.
But I do that every time, and every once in a while, people will make a comment, which I'm not looking for somebody to like, oh
Mm-hmm.
damn, that's a lot of days. But every once in a while, people say that. Then I look at it, I'm like, fuck, man, that
It is a lot of goddamn
it
days.
is a lot of days. And I'll do that too with just our Instagram page, because I mean, you see it pop up on Facebook when it's even
Mhm.
numbers or something kind of lines up with the
Right.
days or the hours or whatever it is, that
Hmm.
just kind of strikes my, kind of grabs my vision. I'll post that.
Right.
In the same deal, I'm not looking for the kudos on that. There's one time of the year, and I'm not shy about it to say it. I've heard so many people
Hmm.
over the years say, I post my time not looking for the kudos or the congratulations,
Mm.
just to show people it can be done. In my head, I'm like,
Right.
fuck you. Because, granted, don't get me wrong, everything that we do on a daily basis shows people that it can be done. that
Right.
that shouldn't have to be showcased once a year. That's my opinion.
Hmm.
But
Right.
there is one time a year, and it's on the 18th of April every year, that yes,
Hmm.
I
Right.
post it and I say, look at me, look what I did.
Hmm.
And I
Right.
do that for that fucking reason. And if anyone asks me, they're like, are you doing that for attention? Yes. Today I am.
Hmm.
Yes.
Right. Yep. Yep. One day a year. Yep. Look at me.
Right. And other than that, when I post stuff, it's just like, wow, that looks kind of fucking cool. It's, so many
Hmm.
thousand hours or whatever it is, like when we hit, wasn't it 100,000 hours, whatever it was, some of those
Right.
things that I remember you posted like, God damn, now I got to keep an eye on mine. So you ended up posting it on Facebook, but yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And if somebody else does, I don't care, you know.
Nope.
But yeah, just when people do that, they're like, oh, I don't do this because, fine. Just every other day of the year, every other
Hmm.
364, or if it's a leap year, 365 other days of the year, I'm out there just
Right.
trying to show people that it can be done, and providing that, if that's what they need for that, that
Hmm.
spark of hope, that's
Absolutely.
why we're there.
Attraction rather than promotion. But
Yes.
one day of the year, I'm promoting the fuck out of myself.
Right. And again, I knew you were on the same page as that, but I don't think we've ever talked about that. But yeah, there's no shame in that fucking game,
None at all.
But so anything else? Again, I know you said you're grateful and all those sort of things, but anything else like
Hmm.
on the 13 years that we're sitting at right now?
No, just now I got to start working on 14.
Yeah. So yeah, that reminded me too. You remember when I don't even remember if it took a couple years, because I mean, now we're in our 14th year. Right now we are.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
you argue. Do you remember you arguing with me about that for the first
Probably.
the first couple of years? You're like, no, man, we got 13, or we got 2 years. We're not in our third year. I'm like, yes, we are.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
like it kept coming up, and I don't even know what happened, because I was telling you, I'm like, okay, so when you're 6 months sober, you're in your first year of sobriety, right? You're like,
Right.
yeah. I think that's how I finally got you to come around on it. But
Finally beat me
it
down.
was yeah, beat you down with actual truth and logic for
Yeah,
whatever.
right. God damn, I hate when that
I
happens.
know, but it was just kind of funny. But yeah, it's like, I mean, well, clearly, but yeah, we're in the 14th year. But yeah, so now we got a little bit of work to do. My
Hmm.
sobriety counter is already rotated around where it's like the 0.1 or 0.01 or something. Now I'm like, okay, well,
Hmm.
I guess I'm on the road again.
Yep, exactly. No resting on our laurels.
Right. Oh, and I had a quick note here because I forgot to tell you. The other day, remember I read off. I had that printed gratitude list that I read off
Hmm.
a few episodes ago. Uh,
Right.
I fucking lost it now behind the dresser. And it was funny because I have I've got trays sitting in there that I took, like stackable trays that I use for work, and I
Mhm.
have like a notepad. I've got my couple other things, but I had that gratitude list sitting on top of my one of my notebooks. And what I did
Mhm.
was I was trying something like slid underneath that tray, and I lifted up the tray a little bit. It slid right off the tray, right behind the dresser. And you know that dresser in that bedroom, it's fucking monstrous. And
Right.
there's really no I would have to drag that all the way out, move fucking everything, move my little desk that I'm like, fuck it. And I looked and it's standing up, folded piece of
Mm.
paper, standing up behind. So I mean I can't even if I had I might if I grabbed a coat hanger, might be able to snag it out of there. But but I'm like, I can't reach it. It's just I got long arms, but I can't reach it. But
Uh,
well,
yeah.
fuck, man. I guess I got to do another one.
Yeah, let's see. Move furniture or pick up a pen.
Right.
That's a tough one for
I
us,
know.
because those pens are fucking heavy, man.
Right, but it's I have not done that. So I was literally I'm like, fuck man, I got to do another gratitude list. And it wasn't like a bad thing, but then I'm laughing at myself. I'm like, seriously, dude, you're like saying fuck that you have to do a gratitude list. It was just
Of course.
But yeah,
Yep.
I wrote that down because I'm like, as soon as that happened, I put a note in my phone. I'm like, I got to at least tell you about that. So
I appreciate it.
yeah, I figured you
Keep
might.
coming back.
Right, exactly. So speaking of coming back, I mean, we're probably at a good point for a break. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, I just glanced over myself. All right. Well, stay tuned to Sober Not Mature. We'll be right back after these brief commercial messages.
Hey everyone, it's your friends at Sober Not Mature.
Hi there.
Yes, it's both of your friends this time. Hi Mike, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, Bill?
I am doing well, but we do have a purpose. We actually usually talk about our one website, but we actually have two websites now. So we wanted two websites in one. All right, so everyone knows we still have the podcast website that is www.sobernotmature.com. And we just launched the store website, so we also have that. Do you know what the website address is on that one, Mike?
Of course I don't.
It's pretty easy, Mike. It's www.sobernotmatureshop.com. But from the podcast website, you can still hit the store link and get into the web store, or you can access it from our Instagram page through the highlights. We've been posting quite a bit about it, and we'll continue to do that. But do you know what's on the second website, Mike?
There's a store. There are products that you can purchase for you and your loved ones.
Well, Mike, do we still have merchandise?
We have merchandise. Well, we got T-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of crap.
And one of the coolest parts, we also do have all the recovery books from Hazelden, which is kind of a big deal.
That is a big deal.
Yeah, at least for us. So all the books that we read, God Grant Me, 24 Hours, the Big Book, the 12 and 12, all of those books are available for sale on our website. And once again, that store website is www.sober.
Trying to help, man.
I know you are. You're not helping, though. Okay, now I got to say www.sobernotmatureshop.com. .com. Visit that today, or visit the podcast website, which is, again, the podcast website. So
www.sobernotmature.com.
Did you just say sober but not mature?
Yeah, sure. Write that down.
Yeah, like fucking mush mouth or something. All right, everyone. You've suffered enough with this, and we'll get back to what we were talking about previously. So visit the websites, though. All right, welcome back. Brief commercial messages. I like that. You were just like, see, you made it sound good though. It was just kind of like almost like it caught you off guard. You couldn't pull the word.
Guess what? I faked it.
Did you?
I did indeed.
And guess what? We made it. We made it through.
We did.
So, the next thing that I had written down here was: have you heard the term?
Hang on, time to hit the gym.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
to to that listener, yeah, we're gonna. Well, you know, let me talk about. I gotta bring this up real quick because I told you something around Easter. You know
All
that I
right.
hadn't brought up on here, and this, you know, what I think I'm ready for some accountability. So, and I did this on purpose. I did this well, the not telling people about it, I did on purpose, but the initial act,
Mm-hmm.
I just want to explain this to everyone because I think it was fucking funny. First of all, I have smoked for real cigarettes. I've smoked for fucking years. My
Mm-hmm.
daughter was, I think, either just born or something like that, and she's 35, so it's been about 35 years. Um, Over the time frame, I've had this mindset to quit. I've cut down over the last couple years, and I was
Right.
down to probably on a good day, a normal day, like a work day, because I had it all paced out, 5 or 6 cigarettes a day. So it really wasn't that bad. But now it's been it's coming up on 6 weeks, I think,
Mm-hmm.
since I've had a real cigarette. I still have a vape, which, you know,
Yep.
has been helping, and I'll explain how that's been working for me. But yeah, I haven't had a real cigarette in almost 6 weeks, and I didn't. Well, let me tell you how it happened first. So I used to, and I still do. If I'm at home and not traveling or whatever, I've done it for years. I do my shopping on Saturday. I do pretty much nothing on Sunday. But part of that would be buying, you know, if I need to buy cigarettes or whatever it is. If I've been, you know, kind of offsetting with a vape, I'll buy that. So it was this weekend before this happened, and it was like I did all my shopping, whatever. And Sunday night, I went out to have a cigarette before I was going to bed, and I'm like, oh fuck, I should pack up another pack of cigarettes. I look, and literally I forgot to buy cigarettes, and
Mm-hmm.
I had enough for one then, and then getting through the next day based on whatever it was, 5 or 6 cigarettes. So I'm like, I'll run after work, and then, you know, I get down to that last one, and I'm like, God, I wonder. I'm like, I've got the vape. I'll just try it.
Mm-hmm.
I made zero commitment on doing it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, one day turned,
That sounds familiar.
and that's the reason I wanted to. That is literally the reason I wanted to tell the story. Because first of all, it wasn't planned. That's number one. It
Right.
was an accident.
Uh-huh.
I just
Uh-huh.
forgot, you know.
Yep.
And then, you know, again, one day turned into two, turned into 1 week and 2 weeks, and I didn't tell anyone, literally no one, on purpose,
Right.
because
Mm-hmm.
the first thing was I didn't know if I wanted to, you know, so I don't tell anyone that I'm not committed to anyone, right? But
Right.
then on top of it is I didn't want anyone counting the days for me, you know. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want anyone. I wanted to figure out, so I didn't feel, not that anyone would pressure me, but I
Right.
wanted to see if I could do this and do it on my own, you know, for this little amount of time. And then I'm like, okay. So Mike and Chris were the first people I told, and that was, you know, two
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago on Easter, you know.
Right.
So, so yeah, it was just as as you were lighting one, I'm like, well, you know, fuck it, I might as well bring it up, you know.
Yep.
And it's cool. So, the vape part of it, I tried before. I've used years ago. I used a patch, didn't work. I used Nicorette gum, it didn't work. I've used a lozenges, it didn't work. Now, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if it didn't work because of I still wasn't the vape is still part of that habit, that physical habit.
Sure.
So that
Right.
I think is number one. But the other thing too is that at the times I did it, I really wasn't fully committed. In my head, I figured that as soon as I was committed to doing it, I thought that I could, you
Mm-hmm.
know. So I think that's the other part of it. But I'll tell you what, the vape part of it is extremely helpful. I've had
Right.
some cravings here and there. The first couple of weeks, no big deal. At about the third week, I'm like, fuck, I want a cigarette, but not bad because, you know, the vape takes the edge off and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then just random, you know, that I've had a couple of cravings. But you know what? The reason I'm bringing this up is that I know there's a lot of people that are alcoholics and drug addicts that smoke and think someday. The only thing,
Hi there.
yeah, but the only thing I'm going to say is, for somebody, again, 35 years, I smoked a lot for years.
Mm-hmm.
I did physically cut down on the number of cigarettes, but this has not been as hard as I thought it might be. And I
Mm-hmm.
just want to pass that along to people because that's one of the things that kind of freaked me out. Here's the other thing: people say that they start to eat more and stuff like that when they take away the nicotine.
Right.
Now, granted, I'm still, I'm still using. It's a 5% vape, so I'm still getting
Mhm.
a nicotine hit.
Right.
But my eating habits haven't changed. I don't think my metabolism has been affected.
Mhm.
So there hasn't been those side effects because a lot of people getting that same thing. People start to eat more because they can taste it. Personally, I don't turn to food like that. I never have. I eat ice cream
Right.
every day. I eat some shitty food that I feel like when I want, and relatively speaking, except for getting a little bit of a gut here and there, I'm in good shape. But
Right.
I don't know. So just for what it's worth, it can be. I didn't know that I wanted to do it or could do it, and I didn't realize that. And I'll say the word easy, quote unquote, for me
Mhm.
so far. This has been it's been pretty fucking simple, So again, is what it is. But so there.
It is. Yeah.
So now,
Cool.
now,
And
well,
congratulations.
thank you.
And I have no desire, so I'm going to keep smoking.
Well, and that's the thing that I didn't. I knew I should. And and
Right.
and part of it is because that, and I think I could feel it every once in a while. Taking a long walk
Mhm.
or walking upstairs. I wasn't like winded. It wasn't like a mom thing. But then, I mean, literally watching mom for the last couple years.
Right.
And I didn't. I mean, I wouldn't say didn't, but when I was over, and of course we never smoked at her house. I'd smoke outside, but I
Mhm.
felt guilty if I had a cigarette when I was over there.
Sure. Right.
Since I was down here, I think back in June, I don't think I ever actually smoked a real cigarette at her house.
Mm.
Since I was down here. I'd run up to the store and be running around, and I, grab one in the parking lot or something like that, or I'd have my vape. But I felt guilty smoking around her because I'm looking at how she was. Um,
Mhm.
and again, I've known people that have smoked for their entire life and didn't have the health issues that she did. Um,
Mhm.
so is it random? Is it hereditary? Who fucking knows? But I mean,
Right.
it's tough to watch. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Mhm.
yeah. So that is what it is. Now it's out to the I don't know the 4 people that listen to
Exactly.
this.
It's out on the interwebs, so it
Eh,
must be true.
It must be true. It is. It is. And at this
It
point, I
is.
think that I'm 6 weeks in. If I choose to smoke again, I think I'd be a fucking fool. So
Mhm.
now there's that in my head. I don't feel like being foolish today. And I don't want. I'll be real honest with you. I wanted to wait because at the point that I got it out to everyone, then at that point it's like drinking. I don't want to drink for a
Mhm.
lot of different reasons, but I also there's no way I could face you, and we've talked about this, family members and
Right.
everything like that. And with the smoking part of it, I'll just be honest. I don't want to fucking hear anyone tell me, "Oh, you're smoking again." So now at this point,
Mhm.
now it's a matter of I don't want to fucking hear it. So I probably won't. I added my own level of spite to this.
Absolutely. And ego.
Right. Oh yeah, definite fucking definite ego. Definite ego. So anyhow, sorry about that side note there, but yeah, as you lit that up, and I was just kind of in my
It's
in
all
my
good.
head. So, all right. So the term, and I'm sure that you could figure out. You probably heard this before. Have you heard the term future wreckage before, or ever?
I don't believe I have.
Okay, so this came off of, and it might have been and I want to talk about the possible upcoming guests that we're going to have soon. But this is
Sure.
I think it was off the podcast that we may have this upcoming guest with. But so it
Mhm.
was described as that the term was used, and then thinking about how things might go bad or how you might feel, and possibly ending up controlling that exact failure or making the failure happen. So relationship, job, anything like that. So basically, future wreckage. So you're thinking about a situation and possibly even sabotaging it by thinking the worst might happen. So even though you've never heard of
Mhm.
it, have you ever? Do you feel like you've ever done that, or that's ever? I almost said plagued, but you know what I mean. Kind of ever been part
Right.
of anything that you do. So like a future wreckage thing.
Certainly in the old days, yeah. Not today. Thankfully, this program has taught us that we have no control over the future. Again, we don't know how the outcome is going to be. Uh, yeah, I mean, I understand the concept. Like I said, I've certainly it's been a part of my life in the past. Sabotaging things ahead of time for whatever reason, fear of failure. So, so right. I'm afraid I'm going to fail at something, so I'll just make sure I wreck it now, so I don't have to worry about it. Um, yeah, but no, that's certainly not a part of my life today. Um, this program has given us the gift of things are going to work out. That faith or whatever word you want to use for it. Things will work out. And again, like we said in the beginning, it might not be the way we wanted it to, but it is going to work out one way or another. So yeah, there is, and I'm sure there will be some wreckage involved in it one way or another. But but I'm going to do everything within my power to mitigate that wreckage. That's the way I live my life. And if there is wreckage, I did my best to try to avoid it. And if it happens anyway, I'm going to deal with it as it is and, move on.
That sounded like a life on life's terms kind of thing, huh?
Exactly. I was just trying to, spread it out because we got time to fill here.
Right. No. You're good. You're good. But no, like the end part when as you were talking about that sounded like life on life's terms. But no,
yeah,
and
exactly.
and I agree with you, and certainly more so. Well, all the time. I know before I got sober, and I know I did it. Christ, I could have even done it with with jobs and relationships and everything.
No, absolutely.
I could have done it with any situation. This is gonna fucking suck, and guess what? It sucks. Or
right.
This person's gonna break up with me, and then so you basically again inadvertently sabotage it because it's in your fucking head.
Or vertently.
Yeah. Write that down. Vertently. Ernie and vertently.
Right.
Vert. That's awesome. But yeah, so you might even just fucking blow it up, say, fuck this, it ain't gonna work, so bye.
Right.
So yeah, definitely in or vertently. One of the two. I don't know why that made me laugh so much, but that's funny. That's fucking funny. All right, so but these days, I do think about the future in a way of, can I handle an outcome? And I'm just trying to put this the right way. So you and I were talking last night about in the car when I was telling you we had a meeting with at work, had a meeting with our main client, and to me, kind of like handwriting is on the wall with this, and if something doesn't change, I truly believe that we could lose that business if we do. That's extremely detrimental to the organization. But I'm anticipating that this is going to prompt a conversation. My boss is going to talk to me about, am I going to go back in the office, which I'm not, and it's going to this snowball type of thing. So in that type of circumstance, and I think I even said it last night, come to think of it, and I forgot I had this written down, but I think I said I need to prepare for the worst, and I'm not going to make it happen.
Right.
But part of my, and I guess I'll call it a coping mechanism, if you want to think of it that way, and I think I do, is that can I handle this snowball effect to the point where he says, okay, we don't need you anymore. And if that happens, what do I do? But we know, because we've said it from the start, we've been told, we're employable and things like that. And then it goes back to this faith, right? This blind faith, even that I know things will work out, and I've had it. I've had job losses, and I've had shit go on, and in my life. There's never a good time to have something like that happen, but I don't know. No. That's my point, and I hope that I don't think that I cause these problems, but I do try to prepare myself. So I don't know if that's the same thing or not.
I think it's exactly the same thing I was talking about. We know there's going to be an outcome. We have faith that it's going to be okay one way or another, and leading up to it, we do our best to mitigate it, to not have it be as bad as it could be, do our part, keep our side of the street clean. And if something bad happens anyway, we did the best we could do to make it less for ourselves and for the people around us. And when it does happen, we know we can handle it. You know, we have the support group that we can turn to. We have these principles that we can use, the tools that we have to get through it. And we move on and we come out on the other side. And more than likely, from my experience, that other side is better than this side.
Right.
Even if we can't see it ourselves at the moment. Again, that blind faith you said, you know, it's gonna be better.
Right.
You know, it's gonna be different, and God knows we hate change, but it's gonna be better.
Mm-hmm.
That's that faith.
Right.
And yeah, you know, and again, leading up to it, we did the best we could. So when we get there, we look back, we go, yeah, it's fucked up, but we didn't fuck it up as bad as we could have.
Right.
That's enough for me today.
Well,
because I could have fucked it up a hell of a lot worse.
Oh yeah, I mean, no doubt.
Yeah, right, right, exactly.
Yeah, because I mean, the other thing too, and I guess what I was thinking about while you were saying all that was, we don't have to like put our heads in the sand, you know, and be like, okay, so we know some shit's going to happen or could happen. I can't deal with it, so you know, I'm going to pop my head in the sand and pretend that it's not there, you know, which,
right.
I mean, shit, I did that. I was about to lose the place that I was living before I got sober. And I just
Right.
fucking ignored it. I mean, this my place of residence was going away, and I was just, it'll work out. Well, it did. No doubt.
Yeah. And again, better on the other side.
That, you know what?
Well, but that wasn't always the case. But that, you know, I mean, you know, I certainly ended up homeless several times in my life, in my previous life.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Again, sitting there, you know, drinking, going, you know, fuck, man, I'm going to get kicked out. What am I going to do? I don't know. It'll work out. It'll be fine. Yeah, well, it'll be fine. I'm wandering the streets with a backpack with everything I own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that might have actually been my first, and that would have been inadvertent, not vertent. That would have been my first inadvertent way of allowing, you know, something to happen where it ended up better on the other side of things. Because I sure didn't plan that. I didn't plan to, you know, go into detox. I didn't plan to do this thing that we're doing today, and you know the sober thing or the podcast, you know, let alone the podcast.
None of it.
Right. But yeah, you know, and so and I'm glad you know kind of talked through that with me, because then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I do that all the time, and I do this. I do look at the worst case scenario, but I try to look at it as preparing myself and what do I have to do between now and then if this thing happens. I don't dwell on it, you know, and I'm not gonna blow it up and like, you know, walk into work, well, quote unquote, walk into work on Tuesday and be like, well, you know what, we're probably going to lose the client. I'm not coming back in anyhow. You're probably going to fire me, so fuck you, I'm out.
Right. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. Fuck you.
Right. Fuck all y'all. You're cool. I enjoy you, but the rest of you, fuck all the way off. Let me get my friend Mike on the phone here. I got something I need him to read. Something I need, him to read to you. Your Honor, can I have this read into the record, please?
I'd like to call a character witness.
Yeah, he is a character. He is a character. That's for damn sure. But yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard that called future wreckage. But as soon as they started talking about it, and then whatever story they were telling, and I kind of I wrote down the description to the best of how I understood it. But that's kind of what it is, just fucking things up in the future when it hasn't even happened.
Right.
So
well, and again, old behavior, man, trying to control the outcome of things, good and bad. You know, it doesn't fucking work either way. Thankfully, we've learned that. We accept that fact today. We cannot control the outcome.
Right.
it's freeing. It really is. You know, it's it's a hell of a lot easier way to live this way.
Right. And I do. I mean, I know that's it. I hope I'm wrong. You know that from even though I mean I don't have the best feeling in the world for, you know, the owner of our company, but I mean this would, if he. And I say if the company lost that business, it probably put him out of business, because that's how big this client is. And he's got all his, you know, as they say, all his fucking eggs in one basket. And he has not planned for any of this. And it's not going to be good, you know, but as much as I don't like him, I don't want to see that happen to him, you know?
Sure.
which is
Right.
weird.
Right. Mhm. This is an odd sensation.
I know. It's like, wow.
Right. But again, you've done your part to do it. You haven't done anything to fuck it up. What other people do, we can't control. Again, we can't control shit. That, all we can do is control ourselves. And we barely do that. So
Barely get ourselves through the day, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, okay, well, cool. And that was just like I said, that was one thing, and I think that came up with. Oh yeah, I was going to mention the people we might have coming up. So,
Yeah.
and I want to kind of, and I put it on Instagram, but we were supposed to have Ashley on this week from Sober Girl podcast, and then we were going to have Shay on next week, and both of them had life things come up, and they're good things. Ashley
Right.
got another job, so she's working now on Saturdays. Shay, her husband, actually surprised her with tickets to something, and it was kind of funny because what I told her and Shay was the first one that had messaged me, and again, she was supposed to be the 28th. We have her now moved to May 12th. But she messaged us and apologized. And again, we had to reschedule her once already. That was our deal. So she apologized.
Right.
She's like, I hate to do this last minute, but, and you know what I told her? I told her the line that we were given, by our sponsors and the people that, brought us up. I said, you know what? I said, here's what Mike and I used to be told. We didn't get sober to sit in meetings. I said, or sit in meetings or do this or that. Or I said, in this case, appear on podcasts. I'm like, go do what you got to do, man. You let me know what day in May works for you, and we'll reschedule. She's like, I love that, And I said, believe me, I didn't make it up.
Right. If it's good, it's not from our heads.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, yeah, we've got Shay, and I've been posting about this with our upcoming guests, but so Ashley was supposed to be today. We've got her kicked off until the 28th, so next Friday. Shay is on the 12th. We've got another podcast that had contacted us, and I believe they want to do kind of a vice versa type of thing, have us on their show, and they'll be on our show. And more, they're a good, solid group of guys. There's three, I'm sorry, guys that do that podcast. And I've been listening to it. Mike's going to pop into a couple of episodes, but we're going to organize that. Then we had another gentleman that contacted us who is like a recovery coach, been sober about 14 years. Interesting story. So we're trying to get him organized.
Right.
Again, these will probably be in June at this point. And then another gentleman that had contacted us that wrote a book.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. We've got that. Yes. Another gentleman, and he's going to get us his book when it comes out end of June or July. Another lady, individual, that had one of our followers, same deal. She's sent us books that Mike and I have already that we're going to, these are all recovery people, different backgrounds and different lifestyles and things like that. But, we've got a lot of things coming up, and we can still pick from.
We do
all of our Cleveland people too, But oh yeah, Angel, our friend Angel's coming up, which is Tony, our friend Tony's wife. She's coming up on the 5th, which is Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, so instead of being out drinking, we're going to be talking with our very, very good friend Angel. So
absolutely,
yeah, which is as it should be. So all right, so I think I got everything on that. So this, and I don't know if we had talked about this because it's kind of funny. You actually mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the restaurant. You said we were sitting there watching other people drink. So, and I wrote this down at some point, but do you, and I'm going to use the word always, I know sometimes, but do you always notice booze anywhere you go? Grocery store, restaurants, somebody drinking it, sporting event, passing a liquor store. Is it an always thing or a every once in a while sort of thing for you, or how often do you notice it?
100% of the time. I'll seriously, a great example comes to mind. I'll be scrolling through whatever I'm scrolling through, see a picture of a band from 1972, and I will look to see what brand of beer they're drinking. Right. Ooh, cool. That's an old Schlitz can. Absolutely. Yes. We've talked about it lots and lots of times. for 42 years of my life, my great obsession was alcohol. Why would that change?
Right.
It's lessened. But it's the way my brain is wired. I have the Anheuser-Busch Eagle tattooed on my arm. That's always going to be there. It was a celebration when I got it done. And now it's just a handy reminder of who I am and what I am.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, 100% of the time. I always notice it. We talked with Melissa last week. We smell a skunk. We know what that is. Christ, it was, 2 days ago, it was 420. I smelled weed everywhere. There it was. Yeah, that was not skunks. But in the stores, I still, and the laws have loosened up, thankfully. I'm not a prohibitionist, never was, and still am not. And, I'll be walking through a store and I'll go, somebody's got some good weed on them. It's fine. They can. I can't. Doesn't bother me. Doesn't hurt my feelings. Doesn't, it's there. Same with the booze. Same with anything. Yes, there it is. Look at that. Of course I'm going to notice it. Of course it's who I am. But I'm not obsessed today. And yeah. I am recovering. So yeah, no, doesn't bother me, but yeah, 100% of the time I notice it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was, and once again, I don't know how that came up, but and I know we've hit on every one of these little things, from time to time. We talked about all those different things, but then that's why I figured I'd ask it in a different way. Is it all the time or
Right.
partial? Because for me, and it's the same way with me.
I mean, I'm sure, if it's way off to the side of me, I'm not going to notice it. But yeah, no, 100. If I see it, I notice it.
Right.
Yeah. If you're behind my back, no, I'm probably not going to notice it because I can't see it.
Yeah, but then
yeah.
you might smell the person.
But if I smell it, exactly.
So we were watching. So two things, even just from last night. So we were at the restaurant, which was right next to a liquor store. Oh shit! I almost forgot about this.
It was.
So we come out of the restaurant. We're all done eating, and this lady is backing, kind of backing up. She's going to pull into a parking spot, and some dude comes driving in. And I mean, literally, like bat out of fucking hell, driving into this parking lot.
Oh yeah, he was coming in hot,
and then right into this spot, and literally almost hit this other lady. And we see him coming in. And we're like, God damn it! What did you say? You said something about the feeling, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Friday night after work, man. He's fucking hitting the liquor store, man. Everybody get the fuck out of my way. I need a drink.
And that's where he went. That's exactly where he went.
He did. Oh, he ran right in there.
And young guy, probably I get mid to late 20s, if that. Yeah,
mid-20s,
like
right? Yeah, exactly.
But then, so that was right next to the to the restaurant, and Mike said they're like, oh, they got my brand because that was Wild Turkey, right?
Yes, it was.
So they have that on there. So he says, yeah, they got my brand. And then I don't remember what their marketing saying was. It was good, from afar.
It was, I believe it was give them the bird.
Yeah, there you go. And it was just fucking awesome. And Mike's like, I didn't need some fucking marketing tool.
No, hell no.
but
it was 101 proof, which was better than Jack Daniels. So yes, absolutely. Right. Wild Turkey, gobble gobble.
So there was that, and then we were watching. That's Bill Murray and what's it? It's Ivan Reitman, right? From Stripes. Okay, so for a second there, the name almost escaped me.
Or no, Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis. I'm sorry. Yeah, Harold Ramis. Yeah.
Ramis.
Okay, Ramis. Harold Ramis, and I'm like, God, I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, Ivan was he's a producer. Yeah, director and producer. Okay.
Director.
Yeah. So anyhow, Bill Murray and Harold Ramis, they're in Bill Murray's apartment, and this is where they're deciding that they're going to go sign up to be in the Army in the movie Stripes. If you've ever seen it, it's fucking old, but in my opinion, it holds up. It still holds up.
Yeah,
it's fun.
Sure.
So.
And it's got my girl PJ Souls in it, so there you go.
So Harold Ramis is drinking a beer in that scene. Do you know what brand of beer he was drinking?
I believe it was a Budweiser.
Nope, Schlitz. 100%. Because
All
I
right.
almost said that when, but then you and I were shooting the shit, or you were looking at something, whatever. I almost said that. I'm like, oh
Right.
fuck, the dude's drinking fucking Schlitz. But yeah, he was drinking a Schlitz. And that was just kind of funny because you just said that like a few minutes ago,
I
which I
did.
thought was just random. So that's why I thought,
See, it was in my. Well, it probably wasn't random. It was in my brain somewhere, rattling around, and yeah, there
that's
you
what
go. It's always there,
that's what
kids. Always there.
literally that's why I thought when I brought that up about that scene in the movie, I thought you saw that. But um same thing, 100%. I could be driving.
I absorbed it.
Yeah, but I could be driving along anywhere. It doesn't have to be as obvious as it was last night that we walked out. You get out of the car and the liquor store's right there. I will notice liquor
Hmm.
stores as I'm driving down the street. If I'm standing in line,
Yep.
somebody's in front of me, somebody's getting into a car, and I'm driving through a parking lot. Every fucking time I notice that they have alcohol and usually what it is.
Yep.
Same thing in
Yep.
a restaurant. It's impossible for me not to notice what people were drinking. I didn't,
Hmm.
and right away when Chris's daughter Jess had a drink last night. She's a normie. She can.
She did.
I don't know what it was,
Yep.
but immediately as soon as it sat down, it's like,
It was a
oh, was
margarita.
it okay? Because the the server had brought out water glasses. It was in the same
Hmm.
same type of glass, but again, a little bit different
Right.
color and had some whatever garnish in it. And yeah, I mean right
Hmm.
away. And I was talking, shooting shit, and all of a sudden, boom, there's alcohol. And
Yep.
again, I didn't want it, but
No. Right.
but it just, yeah, even I remember, and I probably said this on, I know I told you this before, but I remember being at the gas station, going to a meeting, an AA meeting at the Keating Center when I was maybe 2 years sober. And I'm standing in line behind this dude. He's got a 12 pack of beer. He gets up to the counter, asks for a pack of cigarettes and like a I don't know, container of chew or dip or whatever. And in my
Hmm.
fucking mind at that time, I'm like, well, that's a good start. That's
Right.
now,
Yep.
not only did I notice it, but it was Coors, and I used to drink that every once in a while, like Coors Light.
Mm.
I still to
Hmm.
this day I remember what like how a particular beer or alcohol will smelled or taste when I'm just all I can do is look at the container, which is
Yep.
weird, but again, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about it enough. It was just I didn't know if it was like all the time, like it is for me, because it is. It's all the fucking time,
Yeah. 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 I'm an
right?
alcoholic.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Hate to, shocker.
Right.
Spoiler alert. Yep. Yeah. That's the way my brain is wired. Always will
Yeah.
be. It's fine.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
accept that.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like, it's not that there's a huge different story if we saw it and, your fucking mouth starts watering or or
Right.
whatever the case is. I mean,
No, not at
I
all.
don't want it, but
No. Why? Because I know what's going to happen. I don't
right,
want that.
right. Yeah, that's the play the tape through, right?
Absolutely.
So kind of along those, well, not really along those lines, but kind of a drinking thing again. And again, I wrote this down at some point. Do you remember when you were little, did your mom or dad ever have a conversation, with you about either because you said your mom and dad were drinkers, right? Or at least I know your mom was, right?
My mom was right. Yeah. Well, I never knew
Okay.
my dad. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But,
So
yeah.
we'll take that.
Okay.
Sorry about
So,
that.
did she ever have a conversation? That's all right.
Yeah. Did she ever have
So,
a
a conversation
conversation?
about what?
Well, with you, or I'm sorry, with her trying to quit drinking, or did she ever bring it up to, or yeah, let's start with that. Did she ever have a conversation with you about like quitting drinking, like she's trying to better herself or quit drinking or anything?
Nope. I remember um one comes to mind. I came home. I was probably about 16 or so. Came home from something, I think possibly band practice, ripped. And my when I came home and they were already in bed, I had to knock on their bedroom door and let them know I was home. So that particular night, I walked into the house, stumbled into the house, walked over to the bedroom. Right, I'm going to knock on the door, say a couple of words, and get away with it. Right. So I knock on the door, And usually it was just a few words through the door, and then I could go off and go to bed or whatever. This particular night was, she said, "Open the door." So I opened the door and proceeded to vomit all over her bedroom floor.
Oh,
Uh, oh yeah, right, good stuff. So I remember the following day, my mother being my mother, she's berating me, and you know, it was hours and blah 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 blah. And she went under the cabinet, took out a bottle of vodka, and poured it down the sink to make some sort of show of something or other to me. It certainly didn't work. I'm sure she went and bought another bottle after I left. Um, you know, but yeah, that comes to mind. She was making some shows. See, alcohol is bad. Don't, you know, shut the fuck up, mom. You're gonna go have another drink. I'm gonna go have another drink. Let's not play this game, but we played it anyway. that was so yeah, that's pretty much how that relationship
Gotcha.
worked. So yeah, that was that, you know. Yeah, you know, she would as she's half in the bag tell me that I shouldn't drink. You know, the whole Beastie Boys, you know, tell me I can't smoke. That hypocrite smokes 3 packs a day. Yeah, that was our relationship. Mm-hmm.
Well, and it's just that I don't know that we've ever had any conversations about that. And again, I say this a million times. I don't know how these thoughts come into my head, but I don't know if one thought brought the other one brought, you know, the question of it. But I had thought about when so for anyone out there that you know, whether you've listened or not to past episodes, my dad was an alcoholic, got sober through AA. When he died in 2010, died with 29 years of sobriety. So but he bounced. I mean, he bounced in and out. He was a self-proclaimed, I use detoxes and rehabs as spin dries, and he'd go out and do the same thing again. So it was an ongoing thing when we were kids, and we knew of it on the outskirts of it, but we always knew that, you know, he was not doing good things and he was trying to quit drinking. So we were a big camping family when they were together, and then even after they split up, we used to go camping with our dad. So we were at this campground, and this lady that he was dating had teenage kids, and I think at this time Kathy and I would have been, I don't know, maybe 8 and 10, 9 and 11, somewhere in that area. But this lady's kids, one of them at least was old enough to drive, because we got in the car and we were going up to the store in the campground, and so Kathy and I are in the back seat, and we're driving along, and she, you know, turned one of the corners or whatever it was, and this bottle comes rolling out from under the seat, you know, it's in a brown bag, but kind of comes sliding, rolling out. And I looked at it, and it's a big fucking, my dad was a vodka drinker, that's what it was. So kind of peculiar that you had mentioned again that your mom dumped out a bottle of vodka. But so I mentioned it, and maybe my sister wasn't, Kathy wasn't with us, but one way or the other, I told her, and I showed her. And at those young ages, we actually confronted him. I remember that much, you know, and pointed it out or whatever, and then he had it in there. So and I laugh at this now because, and this was a very emotional thing, because we thought that he wasn't drinking at the time, right? And going through all this stuff, and the parents hate each other, our mom and dad hate each other, and this is one of the things behind it. So he ends up late. I remember later that night, after all said and done, and he was probably drunk at the time he did this. So
Right.
he's like, "Okay, kids, come with me." And he has, which I guess thinking back at it now, but I didn't think my dad was going to chop us up in the woods. He grabbed a hatchet. But you know, there's the hatchets that have the hammer piece at the end, the flat metal hammer piece on the other side.
Right. Sure.
So he opens up his car door, grabs the bottle, and says, "Kids, come with me." So we walk into the woods. He's got a flashlight. He, you know, holds the bottle. One of us is holding the flashlight, and he ceremoniously smashes the bottle of vodka. The bag just gets all wet, and he just throws the bag with the smashed up bottle into the woods, and That was that. Remember, if he probably said some words
Mm-hmm.
too, but so that was his thing. He did
Sure.
not get sober right after that. In case
Right.
anyone's wondering,
Yeah.
that's kind of a heartwarming story and could be in a Hallmark movie, but nah,
Mm.
it didn't happen.
And he probably meant it at
Oh,
the time. We completely understand that
that was
too.
that was absolutely 100% the next thing I was going to say is that I know
Mm-hmm.
in his heart
Right.
that he meant it,
Yep.
and that it was, even
Mm-hmm.
though it was this grand gesture, he was kind of that way, to do things like that,
Mm-hmm. Right.
but I know he meant it, but he was dealing with the same demons that I dealt with and that you dealt with
Right.
and all those sort of things, but
Yep. That we all
right.
deal with.
But it was. I mean, mom, had made comments mainly behind my back about my drinking. Like to Kathy and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Our dad had
Sure.
told Kathy a couple of times to keep an eye on your brother, type of thing. But
Right.
nobody ever really sat down with me. Which is weird because you
Mm.
hear all these stories. Um, about, again, parents, friends, family members, everyone having these conversations, when really
Mm-hmm.
when it started, that where Kathy knew something was wrong was, again, that Christmas before I got sober and at our dad's funeral. But I mean,
Right.
those are just fucking blatant, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm not saying that people didn't, the people were missing anything. I wasn't around enough people for whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason. I think I did
Mm-hmm.
enough, just enough, to keep it off the surface for a number of years, at least from family. I mean,
Sure.
I got the talks from Dawn. I got the talks years ago from my daughter's mom, Pam. So it's not like
Mm-hmm.
people never had
Mm-hmm.
the conversation. It was just wasn't the family.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I had girlfriends and wife and all that. Yeah. You're drinking too much. Uh
I
huh.
am not.
Right. No, I'm not. I'm not drinking enough.
Yes, you just got it exactly wrong. How can you be so wrong?
Exactly. Drinking
Right.
too much? No. I'm trying to drink more.
So, I guess along those same lines, did you ever have, during your times, did you ever have a conversation with your daughter? And I'll say with my kids, I never had the conversation that I should,
Hmm.
that I'm going to try to quit or anything like that, because it never happened on my end. But did you ever like sit down with Amber or anything like that and have a conversation that you think you should stop, or no?
No, I mean, no, not a conversation. I mean, I went
Right.
into rehabs several times. Yeah, I mean, no, but I never sat down and good lord, that would be like being honest and, and open and thinking about someone else's
Right.
feelings. Fuck no, I never did any of that.
Yeah, and I would have, I thought that I would have heard a story about that from time to time, but then again, you never know. I never heard
Mm-hmm.
that one that you just you
Mm,
throwing up in your mom's bedroom. So, you can,
right.
after all these years, every once in a while, we still surprise each other with some of these stories, but
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
but no, it was just like I said, it was just kind of I don't know. However, it came up, but it reminded me of that, and like it was yesterday. I remember that whole camping thing because
Mm,
it was
mm,
um,
right.
it- same thing as anything else. He made a lot of fucking promises where that's the I guess if nothing else, that's the only thing that I guess I'm glad, that my son was the age that he was. I
Hmm.
never made any promises to my daughter. I mean, I alienated her, no doubt, at
Right.
an age, but I didn't go through that back and forth with people. I just let myself get
Well, again, that would entail, being honest and admitting you had a
right,
problem.
right. And
That wasn't
yeah,
going to
exactly.
happen.
I mean, that's there's no way in the world I would have ever done that, but I mean, it does. It adds that added.
Hmm.
It was tough, and I remember being a kid like that, and dealing with all this stuff back
Right.
and forth, and thinking somebody's gonna being disappointed by somebody continuously. You know,
Hmm.
God only
Hmm.
knows what. I mean, then you talk about what mom went through. I mean, God, she fucking married the
Right.
asshole. And I could say that now. I mean, not because my dad's dead, but I would say that I would have said that
Mm,
to his face because we reconciled. We were all cool. But
absolutely.
he would have admitted he was a fucking
Hmm.
asshole at that time. There's no doubt. You know?
Well, yeah. clearly, with 29 years sober, you kind of gotta have to admit you were an asshole.
Yeah, I would certainly hope. I would have been shocked, surprised, and dismayed, even disappointed had he not admitted that he was
Yeah,
that he
exactly.
was an asshole at that time. All right, so
Mhm.
anything more on that? I think we kind of covered all that. I know that was my question, so
I
okay.
believe we
So this
did.
was just a
Yep.
and this has nothing to do with recovery or anything like that. And once again, I say it a million
All
times, I
right.
don't know where these thoughts come into my head. So
Yeah.
if you could see any band or individual I almost said magician. We were watching a
Right.
fucking magic show last
We're
night
Penn and
too.
Teller. Yeah.
Okay, apologize. Rewind. If you could see any band
Mm.
or individual musician, either past or present,
Mhm.
who would that be?
Mhm. There's a huge
Just
list.
try to pick one.
But right. Right. Well, easily the original Alice Cooper band, about 1971, 70, 71. Yeah.
Any
That's the
just
easy
because
answer.
of Alice Cooper and the fact that the group that how they put together the type of music, or just him in general. Yeah.
Yeah. The original band, with the late great Glenn Buxton on
Yeah.
guitar.
Okay.
And yeah, that would be, that's the one. There's lots. I would have loved to see the Sex Pistols, Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers. I'll just name all my favorite bands that are dead and broken up and right.
And now for a list of Mike's favorite dead bands.
Mhm.
But no, and I figured you would have a ton, and I probably
Right.
thought of 5 off the top of my head, but the one that and
Mhm.
seriously, I don't even know where this came up, but we've talked about music enough that it kind of is what it is. Chris Cornell would have
Right.
been that's the one regret that I have. Never seeing
I saw Soundgarden
Yeah, and
twice.
never seeing him in any form. No Soundgarden, no
Mhm.
why can't I think of the other band right off the top of my head? Audio
Audio
Slave. There you
Slave.
go. Or him, when he's doing the solo shit, because I've always liked Chris Cornell.
Right.
I was a huge fucking Soundgarden fan, huge, you know, and
Mhm.
but that was the one that came to on the top of my head. I think it would have been fun to see Nirvana. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think
Right.
that's how it came up. There is a in Hobart, there's like a dinner theater or some sort of theater in Hobart, which not too far from where Kathy lives. And something came up on
Right.
Facebook. It's like, see the band, Smells Like Nirvana. That's the name of the band, right? And it's a Nirvana
Right.
tribute band. I'm like,
Mhm.
holy fuck, that might be kind of cool.
Right.
So I started looking at it, and it's I don't know if it's this random group of people or a whole like whatever it is. And then I start looking at this club, and I start looking at some of their past shows, and I'm like, this is all fucking like mosh pit type of whatever. I'm like, I'm too fucking old to
Mhm.
be involved in something like that. And I do. I love Nirvana music. The fact that Dave Grohl, I've listened to his story and his autobiography, the whole bit.
Mhm.
But I'm like, that might have been how that question came into my head, because yeah, I mean Nirvana would have been a group I wish I could have seen. Um, the
Right.
original, obviously the David Lee Roth version of Van Halen, I would have liked to see. I saw the Sammy
Mhm.
version, fucking great,
Yeah.
twice,
Right.
but
I saw the Eat 'em and Smile tour. That's close as I got. His
right.
first solo
Well,
album.
and it's funny with and Mike turned me on to a band. Speaking of Sammy Hagar, a band Montrose when we
Mhm.
were together for Easter,
Mhm.
which was a band that Sammy was in.
Yeah.
Didn't you say it was just early '70s that he was part of it?
Yeah. 73,
Okay.
74 in there.
So
Yep.
Montrose is spelled Montrose, and I had looked it up, just pulled it up on Spotify and was listening to it. And first of all, I like Sammy Hagar, and a lot of the music remind me of Rival Sons. But again, it's music I really enjoyed. But then it threw me into this
Mhm.
other mix, and on the way out here, it had like playlists featuring Montrose, and this one said Van Halen and Beyond. So I started listening to it,
Mhm.
and you mentioned David Lee Roth. It had a lot of his single shit in there, just the Gigolo, and then
Right.
Paradise was the one, or yeah,
Yeah.
Living in Paradise, whatever it was. Yeah,
Just like Living in
that
Paradise.
one.
Right. Yep. Yeah. That's off the
Yeah, but
second
there was a
solo
couple of
album.
them. I'm like, oh fuck, man, I haven't heard David Lee Roth's individual shit in a long time. So just again, funny that you that you
Mhm.
just brought that up too.
I still own a copy of Eat 'Em and Smile.
Yeah, it
Great
was
album.
it was just fun, and like I say, there's probably more than that, but those were the Chris Cornell was the one right off the top of my head that would have been because they were
Mhm.
talking about. I saw something online that said that at the time that all the Soundgarden recordings were done, they're like, for current, recordings and things like this, all the vocals and everything's all mastered and remastered and all that stuff. And there was just a thing like
Right.
a short article I read on him that said that, I mean, that was all just him. There was nothing,
Mhm.
they didn't have the ability to fucking redo anything. That's just fucking his voice, you know?
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
No
that's what it was.
auto-tune.
Auto tune. Thank you. I couldn't for the life of me think of what that was.
Yep.
So yeah, that auto tune, what he just said.
Right, yeah. It's just a guy screaming into a
Yeah, and
microphone.
it was pretty fucking awesome too. So,
Yes,
but
it was.
I think, I mean, that's all. That was just kind of like my last little one that I had. There's other shit on here as always, but I think even
Right.
looking at the time, I mean, I think we did, like you said, not even maybe not good work, but we did some sort of work today here. We did something.
We did some work.
we did something today to keep us sober for another 24 hours, right?
24 hours. That's all we
All right.
have.
So I think I don't know if you're good. I think we're good, and it's your turn, man.
I believe so. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober Not Mature. Thank you, everyone, for getting both of us through these last 13 years. We do appreciate it. We could not do it alone. And as always, it is that time, kids, for you to please, fuck off. Then keep fucking off. Keep fucking off until you get to a gate with a sign on it saying, you cannot fuck off past here. Climb over that gate. Live the impossible dream and keep fucking off forever.
So you now we're living the impossible dream. Did a little change up there. No,
Sure,
it's just
why not?
I noticed it. It's just so here's the funny part is that it's just like any
Dream, live, whatever. Take the action. Do what you got to do and dream,
no, it's just because
motherfuckers.
as you're doing it now, I get so used to it. I sit here and I'm basically I'm just like mouthing the words as you're doing it. So I'm like dream, and I'm like wait, live, wait, what? But no, hey, fuck it, man. It means the same thing, and it gets the same results. So
It
it's all
does.
it's all good.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, and I guess today, feeling all nostalgic on my anniversary, I'm all about living today, not just
Right.
dreaming.
You are
To quote the great Richard O'Brien, don't just dream it, be
right. I like that too. So yeah, seriously, whatever worked. I don't care. You can switch it up any way you want. I noticed it.
it. As long as you fuck off.
Yes, as long as everyone just keeps continuing to fuck off. All right,
Yes.
man. Well, once again, I think we covered everything, and yeah, we'll both
We
see each
did.
other here in about 3 minutes. So, either way, I guess I
Mhm.
got to say it. I love you, brother. I will talk to you soon.
I love you too. Yeah, you will since you read across the hall
Right.
from me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
As always, thank you for listening to another episode of Sober, Not Mature. To access all of our content and interact with us, please visit our website, sobernotmature.com. Thank you again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.